Ja, tere õhtust.
Good afternoon with windy greetings from Hiiumaa. The question is the state and community, who will help whom? I'd like to start with the quote here. I support the parish paying taxes and the parish must look after me. Why do I have to worry and make plans for crises? This question was asked during a community event where we talked about security. And I'm glad that the person asked the question because it helped us understand how far we have got to in terms of preparing for crises. A state is as strong as every village and as aware as every citizen. It's hard to get people to think about crises when people don't perceive danger. The saying goes that the one who is hungry always thinks about bread, but who is supposed to think about crises? Looking at the experience of our own parish and neighboring ones, I can say that a lot of municipalities have left crisis preparation on the borderline. There have been minimal investments into this sector. Now, more about Hiiumaa Island. We are lucky to be one municipal unit surrounded by the sea. And the fact that we're surrounded by the sea usually helps to limit crises. I've been related to this municipality since 2018. Previously, I worked as a teacher. At the beginning of the year 2018, when I started working in the municipality, we had a very low waters in the seas, and ship transport was blocked between the mainland and the island. We were able to use the ship lines connected to the other larger island because the most urgent questions were regarding food and other essentials. But the ship routes were reorganized in a very good way. Everything worked. Then again, it was not sustainable because going via Saaremaa Island added so much time and cost that Heltermaa-Virtsu line was opened. This worked as a temporary solution, however, and the sea levels came up higher again. Here we can see an image photo taken in early 2020 when islands were locked. So essentially a border was established within the country, and there were only some exceptions of who could cross over to the islands and who could not. It turned out that some transport was required, such as food transport, but also hearses for funerals need to have a chance to cross the sea. We started getting special permits. So there were 20 permits every day. We had a specific special committee that issued these permits, and we had to choose which 20 vehicles were allowed to cross the sea. It sounds like idiocy. I'm sorry if one of those who came up with this idea is among the audience today, but this is our experience. It didn't work very well. From the first evening when the island was locked down, we opened our helpline. We did not have a good IT solution yet, so this helpline was directed at my own personal phone. I had 151 unanswered calls by the evening, plus the ones that I answered. The following day, we were able to get this system working better. It was only later that the state-level emergency helpline was opened. In spring, or rather in autumn 2021, there was a sad incident where a staff member wasn't able to cope with a fox and used a hammer to deal with this fox. This was a crisis because the people who first found out about it thought we should just let it go. It was just one fox. But this actually grew into quite a media piece of news, and it was something we dealt with as a communication crisis, and we learned that we must talk about it. We must talk about it ourselves and talk about it as much as possible. An example from spring last year, there was pollution.
Maasuutireostus, millega me võib-olla oleme filmidest
and it's not like what you see in films where
pikal rannaribal.
You need to collect the oil
Aga kindlasti
the fuel oil from the beaches, but it was rather in pieces. It was largely thanks to volunteers who came from further away, and the community that spent evenings cleaning out the beach, that we were able to create the map system where you could enter which part of the beach you had already cleaned. And we were able to solve this problem as a community. I thought perhaps it was my bad luck that I had brought upon this municipality all these crises. But then when I think about my colleague from Saaremaa Island, I feel better immediately, because it seems that Saaremaa Island is the one that has the most crises in Estonia. Regarding our partners and the state, I can say that we have a great cooperation with the state authorities. Perhaps because it's a small island, we all know each other, and we can't fight because there are not so many trees to hide behind. But what has developed over the years is the skill to ask for help and accept help. During the major snowstorm last year, it was difficult to get to all the places that needed help. We offered help in partnership with the Defense League and Forest Management Center, and it was not always possible to get this equipment to where it was needed, so we still need to develop in this respect. We have realized that in cities and urbanized areas it's harder to find help, but in the countryside there is more of a sense of community, so people are more likely to want to work together and help each other. We've also noticed that people contribute when they see that what the use is for themselves and how it helps them to develop their community. We just had a storm called Patrick, and we had volunteers across the island who were removing fallen trees, and that was just a way for them to spend their weekend, as well as resilience centers that have been created. It was the community's own initiative that opened centers where you could have a shower, warm up, or charge your devices. And this was all the own initiative of communities. Looking ahead, what could we expect from the state? We'd like for the information to move better, and that can be organized by those who have the information. So information should come towards each individual in an easier way. We've got the Citric in platform, which is has proved very useful for keeping up to date with information. Centralized campaigns. These should be state level campaigns in order to share information. But it's my belief, and also that of those who participated, that the campaigns should be as short and catchy as possible. This is because people don't have a long attention span these days. Human resources and finances are always a concern. We have a specialist position in the municipality. This person is not only in charge of these topics of crisis, but I think each municipality should have a position for someone who would deal with crises, and there should be funding for each year. But I don't think this can happen unless it happens directly at the state's initiative. Projects and funding, well, we've had different rescue boards measures implemented in the recent years, and we have seen that where it's possible to just invest a part and the state would put the rest of the investment in, people are more likely to want to contribute rather than only using 100% their own money. In conclusion, I would say that today we know what needs to be done, but we also know how little we know and how little we have done so far. In the past years or decades, we have made mistakes that we are now fixing, but at least we are doing it. The title of the presentation was "Who helps who?" and my answer would be that both need to help each other, because neither can be successful without the other. The state should prepare the community and people in a good way so that they are able to cope, but they can also support each other in an event of crisis. Thank you, Hergo. Indeed, people from Saaremaa Island have a lot of crisis, but we cannot give them the floor because we would just stay here until midnight because of the number of crises. But after the administrative reform, where your municipality was united into one, how have things changed after that? You could think that we have one island, we will fight for it as long as we beat the other island. But there used to be people from different parts of the island. How do they relate to each other? How can they cope in cooperation, and how does it affect the question of security and civil protection? In fact, today I wouldn't even imagine dealing with these topics if there were 4 municipalities on the island instead of 1. From the citizens' perspective, perhaps it would make things easier, but since municipalities are the ones that have the leading position in crises, I would say that we are very clearly separated from the rest of Estonia by the sea, so I really do not see how things could be better or even as good if we were still in different municipalities divided into 4. Well, is it something that you say as head of municipality or as a human? I understand that you must support the administrative reform as a civil servant, but as a human. In the first 4 years, the island got quite attached, so it is no longer a question, even in the council level, that we might want to go back to the old system. It's rather a situation where we're looking towards making the last steps to being completely united as an island. On one hand, it's a good thing that you have a sea surrounding you and you can just send a police car to the port to pick up something and COVID can't enter the island. But on the other hand, the community has to cope on their own if there are any problems. How have you organized it? Who comes to help in addition to those who are on the island permanently? In a crisis situation, what are the organizations you can get support from? Well, things weren't easy during COVID. We had to send a different number of cars to different places depending on where we were on the island. But first and foremost, it's the local rescue board who we can rely on, but also the police, the hospital, the defense league, the electrical networks, but also NGOs at the community level. How have you engaged them? What are you doing as head of municipality to promote cooperation? Well, with the rescue board, just before the storm Patrick, we had a meeting with voluntary rescuers from one region, and we talked about how the community can help itself. In addition, the village community has prepared the local village building to be a resilience center, and they also have a generator there. So did it help that they could come together in the same room and talk about it? Absolutely. Thank you for your speech.